All right. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Finance Committee for Tuesday, June 13th, 2017. Alder Moore is not going to be here, so as Vice Chair, Alderman Stoyer, I will be presiding. We have Alderman Tom Duane and we have Alderman Tom Sladek here. So, do we have an approval of the agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Okay, that passes. Approval of the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting of May 9th,
Move
2017.
approval.
Okay,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That passes. Consideration with possible action on a request by the City Assessor's Office to cancel certain personal property taxes.
He was not able to attend, but as you see in your packet, there was even a change with manufacturing, and they came back and the state said that these were not personal property. I think there was a mistake on their form. So we really don't have a lot of say in it.
So it's just for,
What is the
Yeah.
amount involved? Is the total of 2,400?
The amount to be refunded, yes, the original bill was for $3,600, $3,612, and what they really owe is $1,165, so the amount to be refunded, that they've already paid the bill, we will refund them $2,447.
Okay, thank you.
okay, that was just a clerical error, or?
It's something done at the state.
No,
Leasehold improvements were not taxable as personal property.
okay.
That is,
I'll move approval.
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that passes. Number 5, report of the purchasing manager. Take these one at a time, I presume?
No, you
Or
can just
take
approve
them
them
all?
all, I'd be
Yeah.
happy.
I'm gonna make that motion, I'll make a motion to approve 5A through E. They're small, I mean, I think they're pretty.
Do I need to read these for the record?
I think we need to
Yeah.
discuss them one at a time.
Okay,
All right.
that's fine.
Well, there we go.
Always
That's
good
why
with
we're
all
all here. 5A, consideration with possible action on a request for approval to purchase 2 bariatric ambulance ramp systems for TransSafe for $12,289.
The department requested a sole source approval on this, and you guys are the final judge of that request. The bariatric ambulance ramp system utilizes, as it says, ramps to transport an obese patient into the ambulance. We ordered 2 new ambulances that have hardware that will accept these ramps, and it's a safety factor for the EMTs, and this is the only company that has a retractable ramp, and highly recommended by the department.
Tom, do you have any-
I thought, I was just waiting
I
for
have a
them.
question for the chief.
Yes.
Tell me more about why we can only buy this from this one vendor.
They're the only ones that make the system.
So this item just can't be found elsewhere.
That is correct. We
That's all I need to know.
you know, a
Thank you.
bariatric patient or patients that are 700 pounds plus.
That's fine. If this is
We're
the
buying
only
one.
place that can produce them, I support
Move
it.
to approve.
One for the east and one for the west side, just
Okay.
so you know.
We have
Second?
a second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. 5B, consideration with possible action on a request for approval to purchase a warning siren from Federal Signal Corporation for $18,030.
We purchased 2 sirens last year from this company. They've agreed to hold their price for the Henisra Park location. So last year, the 2 sirens cost $36,060. This year, it'll be $18,030 for one. And based on the experience we've had with that, and the fact that they're honoring their price, we're piggybacking off of last year's bid.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. 5C, consideration with possible action on a request for approval to purchase 4 laptop computers and docking stations from SDF Professional Computers, Inc. for $10,808.
This was a bid out. We had 6 responses. We're recommending an award to the low responsive responsible bidder, which was SDF Professional Computers.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes. 5D, consideration with possible action on a request for approval to purchase a forensic recovery and evidence device, FRED, from Digital Intelligence, Inc. for $17,212.
This sole source request was approved 3 years ago. We actually have been using the FRED forensic devices for 10 years. So we've invested in the software and the training for forensics devices. This is an additional forensic device for the forensics team, and it's compatible with all of the other equipment that we have.
Do we have a page on that? I don't seem
Yeah,
to
there's
have one.
nothing in our packet on this item.
Well, I didn't include that because the quote is 4 pages long of gibberish. I mean, not gibberish, it's just all technology, the part numbers, et cetera. I did compare this pricing that the company offered us. This is a Wisconsin-based company, by the way, who's a dealer for this technology. The technology is available on a GSA contract. The GSA contract was actually $18 higher than buying this same system from the Digital Intelligence Incorporated. Certainly share a copy of the quote with you, but it's, other than just seeing the total at the bottom, it doesn't make much sense to me because it's just part numbers.
Could we get a description of what this device is?
I can provide that,
You
right?
call it a system, and here it
Yeah.
calls it a device. What are we buying?
Gentlemen, this is Kendall Danowski. She's the one who uses this system.
Okay.
She's our forensics computer analyst. She does all our cell phone downloads and all our computer downloads whenever we have any kind of crime that involves cell phones or criminals using a computer device. I'll let her explain a little bit better because she knows it much better than I do.
Yeah, hi. So basically I have 3 Fred computers right now. One of them I can only use for imaging, and that's for our ICAC stuff, so that's what I'm getting in 10, 12 hard drives, computers, laptops, all that crap coming in at once for like the child exploitation cases. Only one of my Freds right now is able to image those. To image one hard drive, that's 1 terabyte, which is small now, used to be a lot larger, but that can take a whole day. So for me to tie up 1 Fred computer just for that, I'm sitting there waiting weeks to get a case done when it could be done a lot quicker if I have 2 Fred computers working. The one that we would like to trade out for it is over 10 years old. I think it's 12 years old. Basically, it's just being used right now to print, so it's very slow, it's old, I can't image anything on it. It's important to get this same type because it's interchangeable parts. I can just switch them out quickly. If something were to go wrong, I can just pop it out from one Fred and put it in another Fred and just work a lot faster. They're good with all of our software. All the software that I need to use is very friendly, user-friendly on there. Like one of them that I use daily, it takes a whole bunch of RAM, and a Fred computer can handle that very well. So good tech support from them as well.
So, I mean, it's just efficiency purposes too? You're just saying that how long does it take normally? How much time is wasted, do you feel, by not having this computer?
Tons. When I tie up a whole Fred computer, I can't open it. When it's imaging, I can't open anything on it really because it's going to slow the process down. So if I were to have 2 Fred computers running and imaging, I could do 2 hard drives at once. And say one hard drive finishes before the other one, I can analyze that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you could answer as far as amount of time or money that might be lost. I don't know if anybody can help me on that.
Whereas it takes about a day for something to image, I could,
So,
yeah,
it's
about
labor.
a day for each hard drive saved.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. I wanted to mention too that Aldersdorf and Nenning are also here, so go ahead. Next, B, consideration with possible action on a request for approval to award a contract for the demolition of 3 properties to Go Green Recycling for $16,553 for 1 property, and Best Enterprises for $14,598 for 2 properties.
Again, these demo projects were quoted out. We received 6 responses, and we're recommending an award for each property to the low responsible bidder. So the Quincy property will go to Go Green Recycling for $16,553, and the other 2 would go to Best Enterprises for $14,598.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Okay, thank you, Rick. All right, number 6, consideration and possible action on a request to award Bray Architects an additional services contract for $5,500 to conduct a site analysis and conceptual design for the public safety building, proposed location north and west of Fire Station Number 2 on University and Webster.
Move to approve before Guy gets in there.
The committee that is evaluating in recommending the next steps for the public safety building met about 6 weeks ago, and having had Bray look for available sites, the last time they came in, they presented about 6 alternatives. None of them were totally satisfactory. The team came up with this alternative, and I'll give you, I believe I have,
Just to refresh our memory, Rick, could you tell us who is on that team? Do you have any idea?
yes, Commander Abel, Captain John Locks, Rob Goplin from the fire department. Those are the kind of the core team members. And of course, both fire chief and police chief. I'm looking for pictures that I had, and I guess I don't have them with me. If you can visualize where Station 1 is, it's directly north of there, following Webster Avenue to Harvey Street, and then 3 blocks going west. So it basically would go north and then west, wrapping around the Metro Transit building. So at this point, their feeling is that some of that property is already owned by the city. Some of the homes would have to be condemned or bought by the city. Webster Avenue is undergoing a major renovation, so it would be good time and probably cost-effective to have some of the infrastructure done during that renovation process. What we're asking for now in, I believe, the bid that was attached, or the proposal that was attached to your packet from Bray, was $5,500 to just do the detailed site analysis and come up with some cost projections if the city was to go forward with that site. So no decision has been made. This is just an extension of the original contract with Bray as part of the space needs analysis.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Tom.
Just again, to recap for a moment where we last left this. Bray came to this committee, and they had surveyed and identified 8 potential sites where this sort of facility might be done. And they presented those to us, and they said the top 4 were worthy of further study, and the bottom 4 should be discarded because they didn't meet certain requirements. And now we're being asked to have Bray do specific work on a site that wasn't even one of those top 4, that we haven't had any discussion about.
Again, I'm the messenger here, and I wasn't part
understand.
of that
I don't
discussion,
think-
and unfortunately, I don't think we have anybody here tonight from that group.
I'd like to go back again to the meeting that we had when Bray was
Yes.
here. Because there were some alders at that time, Alderman Zima and Alderman Nenning, that raised the prospect that we don't have, or stated the fact, that we don't have any sort of direction from the council on where we want to go on this project. So this committee, I think, needs to be better hooked up with the council, and the council needs to have some discussion about the pros and cons of the various options of this project. Whether we're going to build some brand-new facility, which we were told could be a $35 million investment or more, or whether we're gonna look to retrofit or repurpose some sort of existing facility. I think the council needs to have more discussion about that, maybe with that committee, to arrive at a direction that the council is behind. I'm not prepared to support going down this path because this is the first time this particular location has been put before me. You know, it's not one of the ones that Bray suggested in their last presentation, you know, are worthy of further study.
I kind of concur as well. I mean, you know, I think the fact that, you know, the various commanders and chiefs are involved is good. It's very good, and they understand their needs and such. But, you know, as a council member, we've thought about other possibilities as well. We have not been involved so much in those discussions, so, I mean, there's a couple of older structures that, you know, we might be able to adaptively reuse. Maybe there's a possibility for that down the road. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. But I think, I know you're saying that this is just monies to more or less keep the analysis process going. So it's not saying that this is the definitive spot. I understand that. But it's kind of like, is it time sensitive in your mind on this, or?
No, I don't believe so. Give you just a little bit further background. I believe that the intent of this committee, they saw potentially some savings for working with this particular site. I think all of the other options that Bray presented were still likely to be in that $35–40 million price range, which in itself was a big hurdle. There's some potential savings here because the city owns some of the land. We would incorporate Station 2 as part of the vision for this particular location. But
Something like that makes sense. Thomas?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna hold up, I mean, I'm still gonna stay with my move to approve request. That's exactly why they brought this forward, because on the advice of Alderman Nenning and Alderman Ziba, about being more, you know, you just picked out 8 spots. Is there areas that Green Bay owns? We own a lot of property on that area, and it fits the criteria exactly what they need. And the reason I called, and when I seen this, I called and I asked those questions, why, you know, because that was part of the thing. So I called ahead and I found out. So that's why I made that motion. And it was off the criteria that those people asked. But I understand what they're saying, you know, but I just,
Right.
I called
Who
ahead.
did you speak to?
I talked to Chief Smith, yeah.
Okay.
the $5,500 request is not new money. This was part of the original money that was earmarked for the space needs analysis. So that money is already set aside. So the question, and I respect your position, Alderman Sladek and Alderman Stoyer, is, you know, do we want to hear from the rest of the committee before moving forward with this, and that's your decision.
I think we should do that. I think this committee should get a chance to talk to us, and maybe more of the council, and start to build some alignment around which concepts we support and what are the most important components of this decision.
Do either of the alders in the audience have any comments on that? Dave?
Well, I can appreciate the desire to have council more involved, better informed on this. That's how I felt that when we talked about it 4 months ago. I am familiar with this site. It's right behind the transit garage, and you know, frankly, I think it may be just as good, if not better, than the sites that were looked at in the original study. So I can, and I haven't talked to either the chiefs or their staffs about it, but I can see some benefit to it. I think there are a few issues that are going to arise there. One is that there is a driveway right behind Fire Station, which will buses go in and out of the transit garage, so that access everything. And there's also that that park that is north of Station Number 2 was purchased with federal money, transit funds. So there might be some complications with that as well. But, whether you approve it now or you wait a couple of weeks, I don't know. That's up to you. I do think it's probably every bit as good as the other sites that we looked at.
I have no problem with that, I think.
There's no analysis behind that. It's just
Right.
thinking about where they're located.
Okay.
So
Alderdorf?
If we did get this done, then we'd have something like we had last time to look at. That's what the $5,500 would be for. We'd have kind of a plan to look at.
Correct.
And so we're saying we want to wait to even see if we want to have a plan to look at?
Well, this,
Go ahead, Tom.
this is this work is proceeding down the path of a concept that would build an all-new facility.
Okay.
And I don't know that the council has aligned to that being the preferred concept. If you're confident they have, I'll take your word for it and I'll support it.
What I would say is, isn't it just an opportunity to be able to compare what that might look like with the other sites, or have we already rejected the other 4 sites?
I don't know. Well, the presentation we had at the last meeting was Bray showed us 8 potential sites.
Right.
And the words that were used were, the first 4 were, I guess to it, the first 4 were worthy of more study, and the bottom 4 they recommended they be dismissed.
Right.
I don't know what additional study or consideration has been done on the other 4, but now all of a sudden we're looking at one that wasn't even on that list.
But I think part of what Barb's saying is that we're not knocking those 4 out. We're going to be including this one as well.
Right, and
I-
that would just give us that depth, and if this money had been set aside already, we would have more information upon which to
Mhm.
base a decision.
It feels to me like that's an incremental step towards naming that the site. That's how it strikes me.
Oh, and
We're
it
gonna
just, to me, it
invest
strikes
another
me as-
$5,000 in learning about this site, but we're not doing that about the others.
And that's not what that was then? That's not what the study, I mean, we already did that with the others? Didn't we already?
No, this work that's being proposed for this new site,
Uh-huh. Is it beyond
yeah,
what was done with the others?
well, yes, I believe it is. I think it's well beyond. I mean, all that was done with the others was an analysis of, were they large enough? Did they have a building of any sort on them? Were they located within a 2-mile radius? And was there any aspects of their location that would cause them to be unsuitable? For example, being between the river and the railroad tracks. That was the only level of analysis done about those other sites. And we can answer that question right here about this site.
And so, were these other sites all, and I was here, I'm just trying to remember, they were all buildings that were already, there's already buildings there on all of these sites?
On some of the sites there were, I don't know if all of them were.
Okay.
Actually, that's a good question for this steering committee, which we are not having much interaction with.
I think part of it too, Barb, is that, we're talking 35 million or so for this, and I really feel as, looking at the situation, we need to look at some other aspects, maybe some adaptive reuse. Maybe there's some structures out there, for example, I wanted to talk to Chief Smith about it, but I haven't had a chance yet, but we were going to look possibly at the Alwyn building on Velp. There's a large area that, I'm not saying, that's just an example.
I'm
okay?
sorry.
I know, I saw your eyebrows go. I'm just throwing that out, because what I'm saying is that we might decide that, it's going to be a brand-new building. That's the way we're going to go. That's the possibility. But I would also like to entertain ideas for possible adaptive reuse as well. Thomas?
Yeah, we just passed a comprehensive plan on Felt there, and that wasn't in there. But who says it can't be? But and going forward with this, you're right. They came back and they were supposed to bring us ideas and locations, and they did that. They brought 8, there's 4 that we like. This committee, whether it's this one here or 3 others, we're still gonna have to have the same thing done on all 4 projects for us to make a decision. I mean, we're not gonna be able to do it unless Bray goes out on each site we finally pick, including this one. So that's why I'm saying, if this group or they found a cost savings and they thought it would fit what they needed, I don't have a problem with going, because they're gonna have to do the same exact thing with any other consideration. Or we're not gonna be able to vote on it anyway. We're not gonna be able to pick a site. This would just be done sooner than the other.
Yeah. I think part of this too is that, I lost my train there. Tom, you got something to add to that?
I guess I'd like to see the analysis of the cost savings that brought this one to the forefront. That's the sort of thing that I think having the steering committee here, having a discussion with them would enable us.
I don't disagree with you. I reached out to them all. Unfortunately, they weren't able to attend tonight, so unless Chief has anything to add to this discussion?
You know, I could maybe try and answer some of the questions, because I meet regularly with the folks that are there, so I'm happy to answer as much as I can. I think the idea was this particular piece of property met the qualifications in terms of size. The fact that the city already owns many of the pieces of property that are on there mean we could acquire the rest of those property for a very low price, compared with even buying some of the other properties. Even a vacant parking lot at one of the other properties was going to be multiple times what we were looking at in this particular place. The survey that Bray did of some of those other locations is certainly something that we should consider, and I think we should always be looking to see if we can do this cheaper and better, like the county did with that sheriff's station, which I was in today, and has met their needs very well. I think their initial survey didn't have anything that was a shoe-in fit like that could be retrofitted for that price. But certainly some of these other properties, the first 4 that you talked about, merit some more discussion, some more looking. This one particular property, though, I think has a lot of things going for it. Proximity to downtown, size, the fact that we own much of it already, including Brisk Park, which is over there. So it seems like this is a good opportunity for us, and it's something that would be easily converted into or easily used as a ground for a new building. Nothing on there that you can adapt into a police station. It would have to be scraped and everything would have to be built in there, so.
I was gonna ask real quick, Chief, when Bray looked at these other sites, these 8 sites, I mean, this seems like a really great site. It seems like it slipped through the cracks, or what?
I think this was in the back of people's minds already, but I think Bray was looking for a building that we could adapt and reuse as a police and fire facility. I think this was in the back of everybody's mind. This and another site up at the very north end where the rivers connect. There's a giant parking lot there that's flat and big and empty, but I think the price of that, or the delay in having that thing come on the market, and then the price of that, I think, was going to be pretty I think this was in the back of everybody's mind, but Bray didn't include it because they were looking for a place that already had a building and already had something that we could maybe adapt.
Okay.
And this is not one piece of property that's for sale. This would require the purchase of multiple smaller properties to complete that perimeter.
Like there's merits on both sides, really. And I think the fact you mentioned that the $5,500 is already included, it's not like we're adding anything.
That's
more.
correct.
But it's money we're spending.
Yeah, you're right.
It's money we're committing
Right.
to one potential
And
site.
if we didn't do it with this, we'd have to do it with something else.
The difference between this analysis that Bray is proposing versus the 8 sites that they proposed earlier, this is more in-depth. This is site analysis, what it will take to, purchase the properties, and in a more in-depth cost analysis to see what it truly would cost. I think the other sites we really don't know, other than the original proposal, which was a $35 to $40 million. The feeling of the steering committee is that we could have a new public safety building on this site for less than that. How much that is, we would find out through the commission of the Bray service contract.
Okay. Well, I don't know, is there any other discussion? Otherwise,
Out of respect for Alderman Slidek, I'm gonna change my motion to hold for 2 weeks to allow the staff to come in. To
it's
answer
gonna be
any
2 weeks?
questions.
We meet
That'd be
once a
4
month.
weeks, I think, would be the next meeting.
Oh, okay,
It's gonna be a month.
okay.
Would it make sense to have the steering committee meet with the entire council, or is that something you want to meet here first and then?
Well, part of that I agree with, because I know for a fact that once we get to council, it's gonna be drawn out somewhat, because maybe the input wasn't there from council members, so we're anticipating. I guess that's part of it.
I think that would be a good idea if we could do it with the whole council.
I do too. So is there a way, well, of course, we got summer coming up, I don't know, if you
You
have a
have a
special meeting?
You have a meeting next week, right?
You have to
Next
do
week.
it as a presentation.
Mhm.
So, David?
You know, one other thought on this that might keep it moving at least. I wonder if our own staff couldn't do some of the estimating on, and look at these properties. We know where each property is assessed at, what the fair market value is. Our staffs know what it costs to demolish buildings, because we do it all the time. I wonder if our own staff, our planning staff in particular, could take a look at it and do a preliminary estimate of what it may cost. And, obviously, we look at the map and figure out what property the city currently owns and factor that into it as well. But, might be a way to at least get it moving.
And if you wanted me to bring members of the steering committee, I could ask with the chief if you could have Rob come with John Laux and make a presentation there in the next, a brief presentation. I know it's going to spark a lot of discussion, but a brief presentation about this particular piece at the next
I
council
think
meeting.
I think that'd be very helpful, because I just feel there's too much of a disconnect between the council and this team that is out working on this.
Okay, so what motion do we have here? Tom,
Motion
did you-
to hold?
Motion to hold?
Motion to hold this item,
Do you have a second?
and I guess, but along with that, a request for the steering team to give an update to the full council at next week's meeting.
If you approve the motion to hold tonight, would that prohibit any action at council meeting after a presentation is made?
No, we can make any motion. We can
Okay.
advance it if we
Yeah,
want to.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we could. Okay, so that's a second?
Yes.
Okay,
You agree with
Yes.
what I added to the motion?
okay. Do you have that, Diana? All right. Any other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thanks.
Report by the finance director.
At this point, the only thing I wanted to talk about was just, among other things, we just completed our audit. I know I mentioned that before, and we are completing our CAPR, and next month we will be bringing the year-end results to you. So that's all I have.
Okay,
Move to receive and place on
Second.
file.
okay, all in favor?
Right?
Aye.
All opposed?
adjourn?
Is there a
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's it, thank you. We'll be meeting, 5 minutes? Let's take a quick break.